Who said that? Jamie, my guy. Okay. Let's see what comes up on my algorithm that has never been used. Ty Lopez here in my garage. Who's seen this?
Wait, oh my God.
Who has had the look? I've seen. Look at that little red bar. How many times do you think I've seen this?
Oh my God, I remember that.
Oh my. Oh, here it is.
Just bought this new Lamborghini here. Fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah, it is.
But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things?
Jamie.
Knowledge.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie had the most knowledge, the most relevant knowledge there. What did you say?
That was one of the reasons I got YouTube Premium. I got so tired of him.
He's made a comeback. He's back with.
Obviously not to me.
Okay, yeah, all right, I will accept that. I will concede. We're not just talking about knowledge today. We're talking about knowledge and beliefs. And there's a question about whether knowledge is derivative of beliefs. There's a question of whether beliefs are derivative of knowledge. There's a question of how they're related or if they're not. And fortunately, we're going to find the answer to that right now. 3,000, 5,000, 6,000 years of philosophy, and we're going to solve it in 5 minutes. We're not going to. But what I would like you to do is I would like you to... Look at this graph! We can look at the key. Knowledge is represented by these vertical lines here, the square with vertical lines. And then beliefs are represented by the squares with horizontal lines, also surrounded, boxed in. Each one of these quadrants here, well, it's not a quadrant, I guess, because there's more than 4, but the idea, modules here, what do we believe the relationship between knowledge and beliefs is? This means that knowledge and beliefs are completely separate. There's no overlap. You believe something, or you know something, and there's no overlap at all. This one assumes that knowledge is a subset of beliefs. Is that right? Yes. This is the opposite, that beliefs are a subset of knowledge. This, 4, that they're completely the same. There's no differentiation. 5, there is some overlap, but they're still 2 distinct constructs. So essentially you have 3, knowledge, beliefs, knowledge, and beliefs. 6 is not to say that there is no such thing as either knowledge or beliefs, but instead to say that you have a different interpretation of what that is. Take 2 to 3 minutes, think about it, write down in your journal what module you belong to, what kind of knowledge believer you are, and we're going to open up some discussion about that soon. We finished? We've all made a selection? You've got 15 seconds. Pick one. It's going to be your orientation in regards to knowledge and beliefs for the rest of your life. You don't have to have a selection, but it's when people put a stake in the ground and they claim something, you can examine the claim. When people do not put a stake in the ground, they do not draw a line in the sand, you are nebulous, you are vague. As a philosophical position, it is useful to make claims, to evaluate it. That is the scientific method. So, how many of us are number ones? By a show of hands, who believes knowledge and beliefs are separate? Completely separate. There's a sort of like ethereal space here that it exists in. Nobody? Okay, reasonable. Number 2, where beliefs subsume knowledge is a subset of beliefs. That I have beliefs and then knowledge is derivative of that. Anybody? Nobody. Oh, how interesting. 3, the exact opposite. Beliefs are a result, or they are a more exact formulation, or there's something. You have beliefs and then you have knowledge that's constructed out of it. Raise them high, please. Have you all seen you've all seen The Wolf of Wall Street, or you've heard about it? That guy, that really bad guy. Here's the thing. There are bad people in the world, but you learn a lot from everybody if you choose to. And he had, I see you looking at me, there's one thing that he said at a conference. He said,
Everybody raise their hand. Now I want y'all to raise a little higher. Ask yourself this question. Why didn't you live 100% the first
Raise your
time?
hand. Everybody raise your hand. Number 4, knowledge and beliefs completely overlap. There's no separation. Uno. It's good. I don't know Spanish that well, so I wasn't going to get very far. Number 5. They're different. Knowledge and beliefs are different. There's an overlap. Okay. Take the floor.
I just want to make sure I understand it correctly.
Sure.
Based on like my interpretation, so for number 5,
Your knowledge or your belief?
both.
Okay.
Basically, my question is there could be a lot of overlap, but when you take into like account of like dialectical behavioral therapy of like emotion and logical mind, where like feelings are stronger than facts, do you think that applies to this specific thing?
Feelings are stronger.
Like, you can have like all the logic in the world, but based on your thinking process, the logic doesn't matter because it's all about the emotions and the feelings.
This is interesting. I'll pose this question to the group and I'll reformulate it. You let me know if it sort of encapsulates what you're looking at. There's 2 possible worlds here in this thought experiment. You are a thinking being that feels. The human condition is one where you think, and then because of your thinking, you feel. Or you are a feeling being, creature, and logic and thinking comes out of that. Is that kind of similar?
Yeah.
I know it's not exactly what you're saying, but I think this would be useful. Who thinks that we are thinking beings that feel? Raise your hand. So we are logical creatures, as high as you can, please. Logical creatures who feel. Who thinks it's the opposite? For this thought experiment, we're not going to go there, but that's interesting. This is all interesting. How much do we think, for the people that think that we are feeling beings that think, where did we place ourselves? I just want to know if there's a difference in how people perceive feeling and logic and whether that applies to beliefs and emotions.
I went 5.
You went 5?
Yeah, I went 6.
Okay, interesting. Anybody else do 5 that's in that second? 3? You did 2?
I had 5.
You did 5? 5? 5. Okay, and then the people that think that we are thinking beings that then derivatively feel, what did you choose?
5. I changed my answer.
Okay, so 5 as well. 5 as well. Okay, so there's overlap. Interesting. What I'd like to do for us is sort of, again, because we're defining, we're operationalizing these words. We're using them, and we haven't defined them, right? So I think it would be useful for us to talk about what it is that we think a belief is, what we think knowledge is, go back and forth, engage in some great uptake here, and see if these sort of disparate representations, it's a representation of what I think, is more aligned than what we think it is. Because we're putting these in different quadrants, maybe we think more aligned than we are misaligned. So people that did number 5, what's your justification? Yes. Did you switch to 5 or away from 5?
Oh, no, I'm still 5.
Okay.
I just ended up thinking that, we're
Feeling things, okay.
Who end up thinking. I immediately thought of like religion and those who not only are religious but might as also, be scientists. So instead of accepting maybe the common Christian belief that God created the world in 7 days, they understand that evolution is a thing, but they also have that belief in God.
Okay. I have some things to say about that. Does anybody else have things to say about that? I have a lot of things to say. I get paid to say things. Would anybody like to do things paying to do this? Yes?
I feel like you could have the knowledge from school of the theory of evolution, but believe that it's not true, because I feel like belief, at least to me, is like you have a conviction either for or against something, like you're not neutral, whereas knowledge can be, you don't have any strong opinions on it, you just know the facts, if that makes sense.
So you're saying, okay, this is a philosophical distinction here. There is logic, so the application of facts in some set of rules, right, which then you get more information from. but you're saying you don't necessarily have to believe it. When you take a fact and you believe it, now it's something categorically different. It's a belief. You have knowledge, you add something else to it, it's belief. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Sort of, yeah.
Or it transitions into belief or something.
It's hard to explain. I just feel like, I don't know, I guess, yeah.
Sure. Right. This is good. Yes, Cole.
What I've been
Oh yeah, just speak next time.
like, and why I was like going back and forth, it's like, is everything knowledge? Like, if like in the example of like someone denying evolution, is the belief that evolution is a hoax, is that knowledge but incorrect knowledge? Like, what is the difference between believing something and thinking you know it, or like is incorrect knowledge still knowledge? Or like, what is knowledge? I don't know. That's what I've been, that's like, I've kind of been going back and forth between 5 and 6, and also the one where beliefs and knowledge, I'm getting 2 and 3 confused, so can't see the head. Can't see which one that is, but I've been going and forth between those 3, because it's kind of like, I'm wrestling with the good definitions, and I guess once we have definitions it'll be easier, but like.
Right. And hopefully through this discussion we can get it. But I think that's a great illustration of the problem, or part of the problem here.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump off something that was said earlier. My lab meeting had a similar discussion in completely unrelated to engineering. And someone proposed sort of this like hypothetical situation where like they probably heard it somewhere where like if grandmother is like watching 2 kids and one of them starts like suffocating, right? Presumably a Christian family, and the other the other kid doesn't panic because they assume that the kid is going to go to heaven, while the grandmother does panic. And their point there was just because they sort of have that knowledge of religion and it might inform sort of, you know, their everyday life, what they truly believe deep down when you have a immediate danger present isn't always necessarily what you necessarily think on the surface.
So it sounds like what you're saying is there is knowledge of a thing, but having additional knowledge, if we're going to define theological, religious knowledge about what happens next, would influence your actions. Is that what you're saying? It's just like the set of facts that that is accessible to somebody.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if I think if you're if you truly believe in Abrahamic religions and like
Sure.
you're not gonna think that, you know, most 5-year-olds are gonna go to hell, but like the grandmother.
But if
still
you
wants
do
to
believe
say-
or you don't believe,
I think most people think 5-year-olds go to heaven. I mean, they haven't had.
that's a theological position.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll avoid that. But yes, as you're saying.
And so, but the grandmother would still want to obviously save the 5-year-old.
Sure.
Even though she probably believes that, in theory, a 5-year-old is going to go to heaven and is going to, you know.
Right. Okay, so you're saying that there can be discontinuity or
Yeah.
some gap between belief and action.
Yeah.
Like the action might not correspond to what you would assume this belief would be if the belief was. So it's almost like you're saying that there might be some humanistic element or some organism. I'm trying to say the right word here. There's something about being a human being for which having a belief or knowledge is superseded by that information. So it's like I have a reflex to go save a baby,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
I feel like what I was trying to get at earlier is that like you have to define what knowledge actually is, because depending on what your definition of knowledge is, the relationship between knowledge and beliefs changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you like agree with your parents' political views because you believe them, you believe what they're telling you, you might be getting factual information from them, you might not. does that make it knowledge either way, or is it not knowledge either way? Like, what does knowledge, I guess, what you're going to get at, what does knowledge mean?
Knowledge actually mean, right? And yeah, this was the perfect transition, so thank you, Elizabeth. There are philosophical or logical positions as to what knowledge actually is, and what belief actually is. And there's this interesting intersection between what is logic and what exists in the real world. We can run around in circles about what we define certain things as, and that is almost a I don't want to use just like philosophical words, but you have to make a lot of assumptions about those things to know whether something is knowledge or a belief or what it is that determines those definitions. So what a lot of philosophers have done is they have used the term knowledge and operationalized it so that it is specific to tasks. So for instance, if I ask, is this building in this location? And I say the location is at the top of the hill in Maryland, on Maryland's campus, the Benjamin Building. You could say, and this is pretty inane and not very useful, well, there are a number of hills, that information's not truthful. And then you can say, well, it's at the top of the hill located at these coordinates. Okay, well, these coordinates, how accurate are they really? You can always question things and go deeper and deeper and deeper, add more dependencies to the argument. But knowledge, the way that philosophers operationalize knowledge is this idea that within a closed system, there are some facts that we try to make sense of. And so there's a famous way to operationalize knowledge. It's called justified true belief. The idea is that as human beings, we have access to information, and we don't necessarily know whether it's true or not. We just see that the sun is rising. We see the colors emanating from a flower. We see the colors. We smell the scents emanating from a flower, all of these different things. These are perceptions that we have, but then whether something, and then you can translate that to beliefs, but then whether we say that something is true or not depends on whether it's justifiable. So the idea is, if I believe that I leave this room and that my phone will stay there, and part of that is believing in gravity or whatever, and I come out, wow, look at that. Guys, the phone is there. Can you see it? Can everybody see it? Who doesn't believe in gravity? Does anybody question it? Wow. So I would say that my belief that the phone's going to stay there is a justified, true, in the sense of the system I've constructed, that it will stay there, however I've defined the word stay, that it's there. So I have a belief, it's justified, and it's true because it's verified. There's evidence. Does anybody see a problem with that? So let's say I have a belief and I hear a sound. I know normally that my dog is upstairs and he will make a sound. I believe that it is my dog that is making that sound, but actually there's a burglar in that room, and I believe that when I go back up to my room, my dog will be there. I come back up, the dog is there. I thought that there was this idea that the dog was going to be there, that the dog made the sound. I have evidence that the dog was there based on previous experience, and the dog is there. The dog also made a sound, but I was also robbed, and part of that sound was not the result of the dog. I had a belief, it is justifiable, And it is true. The dog was there. The dog made the sound. But there was some other information that I didn't have. I think that's knowledge, but it's not, because there's something here that's not represented by that system of equations that I made up, or just the equation that I made up. And this is a problem in philosophy and the idea of truth, the idea of knowledge, the idea of belief. So the point of this is not to say that we actually have some big, grand, definitive claim about what knowledge is and what belief is. The point is that we can operationalize them to help us make sense of the world, but newsflash, the world's very complicated, and we're not always going to have access to all of the information that's necessary to make sense of the world. We're going to skip these because we have a lot to do today. But does that sort of make sense? We want to think about how messy knowledge and belief is. So knowledge claims, these are fairly straightforward. It's messy, but we can say that there's useful information to categorize information as knowledge and to think about knowledge. We know what this word is, right? Yeah, okay. Someone want to say it? Oh, yeah. But like what the definition is? Objective, no. What does this mean?
You should say it.
I should say it? Okay. Unique is right. Just think of idiosyncratic as individual and unique to you, to a person, to a thing. Your knowledge is defined by your humanness, by all the principles of learning that helped create that knowledge for you, whatever you classify this as. What one already knows is a powerful determinant of what one will come to know. Again, knowledge is never context-free in this idea of knowing that my dog is upstairs and making these sounds, and is the cause of these sounds, comes from what I already know and the context. Knowledge guides one's perceptions. That's basically the same thing. My interactions. Maybe I don't go upstairs with the baseball bat. Maybe I wander up haphazardly, and that's not good for me. And obviously, knowledge is socially and culturally constructed. Those should not be controversial claims. We got a slide for this. We're going to do this fairly quickly. Think of the word cup. C-U-P. Okay. I didn't think I was going to get a laugh for that one.
I'm in Kenya right now. I understand it now. Thank you.
Which one of these is a cup? Or not a cup? Or all of them? Or some of them? Talk with your group. Debate. Get conviction. Have conviction. There's no right or wrong answers here, people.
That's a good point. You don't need it. Because if you have a lot of cups from water, so yeah, you don't have like a handle.
I think the cup just needs to be able to hold it.
Well, I think the bowl's a cup. I think that a cup is just a container without a top.
Okay, container without a top.
Like a shipping container?
Yeah, I mean, a large enough person could drink out of it.
Okay, Gulliver.
Interesting. I mean, you can't hold it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you have like a canoe, a large enough
A
person
canoe.
to drink out of that.
I have seen people drink out of a canoe. What? Why? Like, you know those like bring your own thing? Like bring your own cup?
Okay, everybody. Unfortunately, we're going to be divided in this class for the rest of the semester. How many of us belong to the political party of universal cuppists? That means everything. Oh my goodness, this used to be a radical group, but now for some reason it's been growing. Raise your hands high and proud, the universal compass. I need to see who I'm surrounded by. This has got to give me something up here. All right, the universal compass, do not follow directions well. Okay. Why? There's lots of you. Who will be your spokesperson?
I think that
Please stand up and address the...
I think that a cup can be defined as a container that holds liquid that has an open top.
Yeas and nays from the universal compass. Yay?
Yeah, an entire open cup.
I heard a nay. Disagreement. Elliot.
Okay, I don't know. I guess you can be right, but like.
Wait, you are a universal compass.
You don't think that?
If you build like a container the size of a building that holds something, are you calling that a cup? Like,
Large enough person would be able to drink out of it.
Hey, that's true.
Yeah, but what if it's like Godzilla? You could-
Wait, I'm trying to hear Marvin. Yes, speak loudly, please.
So he says like a big cup, right? Like a huge cup, or like
Well, what's a cup?
that.
Okay. Continue.
Well, like I don't think size matters because what if like what if like Godzilla is holding that big thing? That would be a cup to him, right?
So you're agreeing with your political leader over here. Elliot, your rebellion's not really... Your revolution is turning into a rebellion that's about to be squashed. Yes.
Well,
Are you a universal cuppist?
Yes, but
Okay.
I'm more of a universal cuppist than him. What?
So you're more radical. Stand up and address your people.
Yeah, so I think as long as it has the capacity to have an opening, I don't think the entire top needs to. I think this is a cup, for instance. But I need to actuate it by pressing on a button.
Okay, we're going to go to the exact opposite on that political spectrum, and given our political theorizing, either we're very close in a horseshoe or we're very far. Who thinks none of these are cups? Oh my, okay. We have two. Wait, raise them proud, raise them high. Okay. Would you like to speak, address?
Do I have to stand up?
Would you like to?
I think because they all have handles, they're mugs, and that's about it. So I don't think they're cups, they're just mugs.
Succinct, strong,
Exactly.
assertive, powerful. Do we concur?
Handles. Those are mugs.
Now, all the people in between.
May I rebuke?
This is not a democracy, people.
Let's hear it. Dictator.
The people who are in the middle are enlightened centrists. That's a joke. Why? We've heard two very strong competing claims from strong representatives. They are jockeying for your vote.
I think that like the few like real cups are like 10, 11, 12, and 13. Just like based on looks, like I think 1 through like 9 are more like mugs. And I feel like mugs should be able to like, I don't know, they're more elegant than cups.
Oh, so we have an aesthetic appeal. Interesting. Anybody else? Yes. Ooh.
Yeah,
Mugs are a subset of cups.
Yeah, I think mugs are a subset of cups.
Okay, the universal cuppists have an explanation for this. The non-universalists, someone give me something quick. Do we have any converts? Do we have anybody that's been, convinced? Or are we still non-cuppists?
No, I just think that cups have no handles and mugs
Cups don't
have
have
handles.
handles.
So I think all of those. Wouldn't they be?
So wait, the original question was, aren't mugs cups? So the response is, aren't cups mugs? Wait.
I think that
Someone explain this to me. I'm losing the plot.
That mugs aren't cups because mugs already have handles.
So mugs are not cups because mugs have handles.
I think the distinction.
I think, okay, so it all boils down to the main,
That's an
a main
excellent
idea of what a beverage carrier is. That's not a cup and a mug, they're just two subspecies, okay? Like,
So what is the greatest or most recent ancestor in this genus of beverage containers? What is it? What do we call it? A proto-cup or proto-mug?
probably.
But which, proto-mug or proto-cup?
Well, I mean, there's still two different things.
So I guess the question here then is cup.
Yes.
No? 14 is not a cup?
It's got a handle.
Okay, but not anymore.
You cover the
I guess if it doesn't have a handle, then yeah.
So you're saying a mug
Any of
is...
those without a handle would be a cup.
I would like to add on that in my discussion with her, I said, in your definition, a hot tub would be a cup.
Yes,
And
it
she said
is.
yes.
Hey, that's one big
It's
cup.
also a sushi.
Agreed.
But isn't this interesting? We have the two divides and they come back to this.
It's also a cup.
Yes.
They're all cups.
Yeah, I have to add, like, if this is like, this is not a mug would have a handle, but it's a Stanley cup.
It's a Stanley cup.
But it's called a Stanley cup.
That's an appeal to authority. Someone else is telling you that's a cup. Do you believe that?
Yeah, like,
It's already
think
right.
about how, like, big
Shh, guys, we can't hear everybody.
They don't call it like a Stanley mug. There is a Stanley mug and it's separate. And it's not this.
All right, one at a time. Someone said they were willing to die for this. Wait, what was the point?
I just, a cup and a mug are two different things. And I respect others' opinions.
I mean, see, I'm team universal cup, but like, I also don't want Big Stanley to be the one dictating what.
Big Mug is trying to do this.
Do we have another point over here, or was I think that's... And this, my friends, is why this class is not a democracy.
What's your opinion?
I think that this is a pseudo problem put to the masses to divide you instead of you leading a mutiny against me. And you're still appealing to my authority here just by virtue of my being here. I don't think, to actually answer your question, I kind of, if somebody if I was in a situation, I would probably just say, everything's a cup. I'm fairly liberal in my cupism. Even this, I would, if I got this for a birthday present, I'd be like, wow, it's a funky cup. Yeah, Marvin, are you going to try to dethrone me?
Nah, just another thing.
Okay.
What about our hot dog sandwiches?
Yeah.
We're not going there. That's too politically fraught. But we'll move on from this. The point of this is, again, knowledge is idiosyncratic. A lot of the appeals that we heard, a lot of the justifications were either the functionality of the cup, which I think is really interesting coming from a mechanical engineer, and then we had an appeal to aesthetics about the cup. What's your major? Human development. Okay, maybe less formulaic or rigid, trying to incorporate the sort of perceptions that people have that influence their decisions. And what was the other one? The appeal to Big Stanley and the revolt against the appeal to Big Stanley, which means you had prior experience about what has been communicated about this thing, and you have subsumed that into your knowledge. That's interesting. What does that mean? What we know, what we have previously known influences what we come to know. Knowledge is idiosyncratic. There really is no right answer here. If we were to deconstruct this from a sort of cognitive psychology or cognitive neuroscience perspective, or even an AI perspective, what we would probably do is we would probably look at each feature of the cup, whether it has a handle or not, which was picked up on by a lot of people, our minority of anti-cuppists, as well as the sort of size, which is another attribute or feature, and whatnot. And then that was applied to a context, which was sometimes fanciful, sometimes not. The fanciful one being if there was an organism large enough to consume something out of, that would be a cup. Is that representative?
Can I be honest?
Quickly honest.
It's gonna be interesting because I feel like if there weren't like 19, but instead there were like 6 and they were all the weird ones, I feel like I probably wouldn't be a universal compass. I might like have an individual perspective on each one, but it's almost like just seeing so many. I'm like, oh, where do I even draw the line? Where does it matter? So I think you could probably
And so this is a behavioral economics issue. This is called the paradox of choice. Just because there's this assumption in economics, this is not an economics course, but I used to do economics. The number of available options, the theory in economics was that the greater amount of options, the more ability that you can tailor these different features to the world. It's hard to produce those because it takes a lot of information to know which one of these cups is going to be most useful to people, we could use that as a proxy of being, if people are looking for a cup, which one is most cup-like, such that people would buy them. But the problem is if you have just these 4 up top, right? None of these exist. It's probably easier to delineate all the features, to really think critically. But when you add all of these, what do? We sort of aggregate that information. We look at all these different features, and maybe we say across all of the different dimensions, we didn't really talk about width, we didn't really talk about depth, we didn't really talk about the functionality of this or the materials. Maybe those are things we would have thought of because this looks more similar to a pot, right, than maybe this. Or maybe we would have talked about how this could be a wine glass if we took this out, or whatnot. But because there's so much information here, we sort of generalize and pick up on the attributes that are shared across all of these. So that's a really great point. The amount of information that we are exposed to influences how we see the world, what attention we draw to the different objects in the world. And it influences our thoughts about them. It influences our arguments. It influences what political party we're going to be a part of here. That's crazy. This is, we don't have time for this. This is supposed to be an example of how information that you know influences how you're going to deconstruct a very difficult a passage. And the idea here is, even from the very beginning, physiological structures, each person with their unique experience, their unique information that they have from their majors or their lives, you're going to have a mental representation of what a physiological structure is. Maybe the mechanical engineers think of, they see the word structure, they bring up a memory of maybe some robot, physiological, physical. Maybe if you are a bioscience major, you see physiological structure, maybe you think of an organism or some physiological structure within the human body. Knowing this information is going to influence what you get in the next stage, right? Maybe when somebody thinks of limits, they think about a range. Maybe when somebody thinks of limits, they think about extremes, these different ideas. If we had more time, we would go over this. I think we kind of got that point with some of the other. This, we're just going to skip. We've already established that it's context dependent. This, I think, is also very important. This underscores the point that I was trying to make earlier. We've had a second to look at this. Somebody want to describe very quickly what they see here, quickly, in this image?
Waterfall going into monks.
Waterfall going into monks is a transition. Okay, and then what do we see over here? Somebody quickly, no hands.
Two old people.
2 old people. Is that it?
And a holy grail in the middle.
Okay, nice. Yes.
It was like Marachi and woman.
Who didn't see the people in the people?
Still don't.
Yo. So this is a mouth, but it's also the waistline. Maybe it's your perspective. Eyes, nose. I have this. Why am I doing this? Mustache, eyes, smile, chin, guitar. Another person here in the ear. Did everybody see that? Is this a bottle? I don't know. What is the... We could go into the, implications of this. The cognitive neuroscience perspective here, the theory that I go with personally, is in addition to the context that we have, the context will guide where we devote our attention to an image or a scene or the words that somebody says, to the point where my prior context might lead me to focus on the individual's head. Maybe I'm insecure about my hairline, and the first thing I think about is how cooked this guy is and how cooked I'm going to be. And maybe I don't look at the woman's smile and I don't realize that this is a waistline that's cinched up and that connects up to the person. Maybe I'm so focused on my next photography project that I see the waterfall and I don't see the complexity down here. If you just stare at this, it's kind of hard because you're far away. But it's hard to see the other information. And so again, the idea is the information that we bring into a context, our previous experience, our knowledge of the world and what's useful to us influences the world. So that's it for today's lecture. Next lecture, we're going to go over the IMKB results. And we're going to get into some of the studies that we've discussed about how students spend their time. We're a little bit ahead on the reading, so I might modify those, which means less reading, so that will hopefully be good. But I will keep you all updated. If you have any questions, field them to me, and we can discuss later.